This is WGAL 8, the Susquehanna Valley's news leader. Now, coverage you can count on continues. This is WGAL News 8 at 6.
Breaking news, a jury finds Dauphin County Police Officer Lisa Merkel not guilty of all charges.
We have live team coverage from the reaction of the victim's family to the video from the officer's taser to Officer Merkel's first public comments since the verdict. Good evening, I'm Janelle Stelson.
And I'm Ron Martin. We begin with the just-released video. News 8's Susan Shapiro begins our team coverage.
The video from Officer Merkel's taser was the key evidence at her murder trial. Both sides used it to try to prove their case, but the defense won out, convincing the jury Merkel believed her life was in danger when she shot and killed David Kasich. We have not edited the video in the portion we're showing you, but have deleted what may be offensive language. The sound is overmodulated, but amidst the clicking of the taser, you hear Officer Lisa Merkel repeatedly scream commands. Stop, get on the ground, don't move, and show me your hands. At one point, David Kasich indicates, I am showing my hands. There's a moment at 36 seconds into the video that David Kasich's left hand moves. Then, 6 seconds later, you hear the first of 2 shots. Kasich, who ran here to the rear of his sister's home after a traffic stop, is hit in the back. Finally, you hear his brother in the background. You also hear the brother say, I'm going to call my attorney right now. Kasich was pronounced dead at the scene. Susan Shapiro, News 8.
Now to Officer Merkel's comments after the verdict. News 8's Dauphin County reporter Portia Johnson continues our team coverage.
Yes, Lisa Merkel broke out in tears when the verdict was read, and so did her family. There was echoes of cries in the courtroom and even outbursts of anger. One member of the victim's family yelled out, "Murderer." After 2 days of deliberation, Lisa Merkel says she's relieved the jury decided that her actions to kill were justified.
I wish it didn't happen. I truly wish it didn't happen, and that they should. I want them to know that. I've never wanted to shoot anybody.
That's an unarmed man, David Kasich. Merkel says on February 2nd, Kasich kept reaching in his jacket and he refused to show both of his hands, so she thought he had a gun. Merkel's attorney, Brian Perry, says it was reasonable for her to assume that.
And we were always convinced that citizens wouldn't second guess a veteran police officer under these circumstances.
The attorney says Merkel even held her gun in one hand and her taser in the other, which recorded her shooting Kasich twice in the back.
Hell and back. Hell and back. That's what it's been like.
Now, Merkel is found not guilty of murder, not guilty of voluntary manslaughter, and not guilty of involuntary manslaughter as well. The prosecution says that they respect the jury's decision. Merkel says that she will be returning to the Hummelstown Police Department. Reporting live in Harrisburg, Portia Johnson, News 8.
As Portia said earlier, the victim's family was very emotional after the verdict. News 8's Justin Betty continues our live team coverage with their story.
Janelle, the Kasich family is outraged by the decision. As you heard earlier, Kasich's nephew was actually thrown out of the courtroom when he yelled out, calling Lisa Merkel a murderer. We spoke with him afterwards. He said the hardest part of the whole thing was watching that taser video, which the public is seeing for the first time today.
It really hit me when he was laying on the ground and you could see him taking his last breath.
Justice will be served. If it's not here on earth, it will be in heaven.
There were also some protesters outside the courthouse today complaining about the verdict, including the possibility that Merkel could be back to work soon. Reporting live in Harrisburg, Justin Betty, News 8.
And our coverage of the verdict continues on WGAL.com and by downloading the WGAL app. There you can see the entire taser video, as well as look back at key moments during the trial.
The manhunt in 2 states tonight, including York County and Maryland, for 3 people who police say dragged an officer with their car. News 8's York County reporter Ed Weinstock joins us live from Glen Rock with new information about that officer.
Janelle, being dragged by a car could have caused critical injuries, but Southern Regional Police Officer Michael Storman survived without any broken bones, and tonight he is home from the hospital and on the mend. A terrible ordeal for the Southern Regional Police Officer, and clearly unsettling for Glen Rock residents who witnessed it Wednesday afternoon.
I'm laying there in agony, screaming in pain. And
police are now searching for a Toyota that dragged the officer about 50 yards down Water Street before the officer was able to break free. Police traced the car to Maryland. They believe the driver is from Montgomery County. They think a front seat passenger who grabbed the officer's arm and pulled him into the car is also from the same area. Police think a woman who sat in the back may be from Glen Rock.
I'm glad he's okay. I hope he can get right back to his job.
It is not clear when the police officer will be able to return to work, but Officer Storman is looking forward to it. The Southern Regional Police Officer is described by his chief as tough as nails.
I hope he does well and he gets better soon.
Well, police are now looking for a Toyota Camry. It has Maryland plates. Here is the number 4AG6940. In York County, Ed Weinstock, News 8.
Tonight, we now know the cause of yesterday's fire in Columbia. And as News 8's Lancaster County reporter Caitlin Smith shows us, firefighters say the same thing could be happening in your home right now.
Walnut Street is one of the oldest in Columbia. The homes here on the 300 block date back to the early 1900s. Now, at least 5 of them are forced to get a facelift.
The roof fell into my bathroom, which fell into my kitchen.
The fire started in the home next to Todd Miller's. Fire marshal says old electrical wiring in the walls of 336 is to blame.
I just wonder how long it was smoldering before it actually broke out and we seen it.
You wish there was some kind of warning that, you could, that they're going bad, or you could try to stop it, but no one knew.
The codes inspector says none of these homes were in violation, and he says even though it's highly recommended to rewire your home, it's not required. And so even though Todd did, if his neighbors didn't, it doesn't matter.
Everything my dad worked for,
gone, as is the only home 25-year-old Abby Miller has ever lived in. In Lancaster County, Caitlin Smith, News 8.
The codes inspector says if you live in an old row home, the only way to protect yourself is to have insurance.
State Attorney General Kathleen Kane found herself in the middle of the Jerry Sandusky appeal today, ordered to testify in court in Harrisburg. News 8's Barbara Barr reports on what went on behind closed doors.
Kathleen Kane slipped in and out of the Judicial Center, doing her best to avoid reporters. She spent about 45 minutes testifying behind closed doors, leaving her spokesman to field questions.
The Attorney General said she was pleased that the judge was trying to get the facts.
Judge John Cleland ordered Kane to appear to clarify comments she made about the presiding judge in the Jerry Sandusky grand jury investigation, alleging he leaked secret information that could impact Sandusky's appeal.
She did not have an opinion or have direct knowledge of any leaks either by her office or by the supervising judge of the grand jury.
The Attorney General testified the alleged breaches had nothing to do with his case.
We're trying to determine what the source of those leaks were.
Kane's spokesman says it wasn't her intention to give the Sandusky team any glimmer of winning an appeal. Since the Attorney General didn't reveal any kind of smoking gun, the Sandusky defense team is going to have to pursue other avenues to try to overturn the conviction. In Harrisburg, Barbara Barr, News 8.
An update on a deadly hit and run in Palmyra, Lebanon County. Tonight, police say they have the car they think hit and killed 52-year-old Lisa Thomas last month. They say the vehicle, a 1999 Audi A4, is missing its front windshield. The moments after the hit and run on Cherry Street were recorded on a police dash cam as a cruiser went by on another call. Officials say they also have a suspect, but so far, no charges have been filed.
A Lancaster man has been sentenced for driving under the influence and causing a crash that seriously injured a 70-year-old man. The judge allowed 35-year-old Tate Simmons to be on house arrest for 6.5 months because his wife is pregnant. He would then serve 5 months in prison. Simmons had a blood alcohol level twice the legal limit when he hit Paul Wagner's vehicle on Route 283 in East Hempfield Township in June of 2014. Wagner sustained a brain injury and spent 2 weeks in the hospital. Also in Lancaster, a man was sentenced for firing a gun from a moving car last year. 22-year-old Tyre Burnside was served 3 to 10 years in prison. Police say last June, Burnside fired the shot from the passenger seat. The driver took off and Burnside threw out the gun. Burnside was already convicted in a 2012 drug case. And police on the West Shore say a man who was arrested for breaking into almost a dozen homes turned in his friend as the lookout. Both men, Corey Fisher and Scott Beck, are now in prison. Police say they broke into homes on the East and West Shores, stealing jewelry, electronics, and guns. Court records show Fisher's fingerprints match prints at the scene. He admitted to the burglaries and told police that Beck was also involved.
Big state news. The state health and education departments have proposed shortening the time required to get your children vaccinated. They want to cut the deadline for vaccinations at the start of the school year from 8 months to just 5 days. If children are not vaccinated after 5 days and do not have shots scheduled, they will not be allowed to come to school.
When kids are younger is when families are moving a lot. So you've got new families moving into the area, you might move to a new area, and you want to make sure that in that close proximity, the kids are protected against disease.
The changes could take effect for the next school year. The state's philosophical, medical, and religious exemptions to vaccinations would not change under this proposal.
A state senator is using the proposed changes in vaccination requirements to push his bill, calling for the elimination of one of those exemptions. Senator Dalen Leach wants to get rid of the exemption for philosophical reasons, which allows parents to say no to shots based on strong moral or ethical convictions. He supports keeping exemptions for medical and religious reasons. Well, what do you think? Should there be exemptions for vaccinations for school children? Vote by calling 717-798-8988 or text 1 for yes, 2 for no. And here are the results. 76% of you say no to exemptions. You can vote all night and through noon tomorrow.
News 8 is on your side tonight asking why state lawmakers have left Harrisburg without passing a state budget. Schools and organizations statewide are seriously struggling without money to operate. Well, tonight, government reporter Pete Muntean investigates.
The state capitol is a ghost town with senators standing down during a standoff now 4 months long. They are on a 2-week recess until November 16th.
Just because one of our members is back in district doesn't mean that staff and leadership are not here gathered around the negotiating table.
Spokesperson Jen Coker's boss, Senate Republican leader Jake Corman, was not at the Capitol Thursday. Neither was Senate Democrat Art Haywood, who's posted this sign critical of the recess outside his office.
It was my position that having the Senate in session would increase the likelihood, increase the pressure for getting an agreement.
Senators are getting paid in this impasse. When they're in session, they get per diems totaling $7,000 a day on the backs of taxpayers.
And so we wanted to save that money because we didn't have anything pressing or urgent to vote on.
Maybe the cost of the Senate being in session would be another reason to increase the pace of reaching a deal.
Proof that anger is not taking a break in this recess. At the state capitol, Pete Muntean, News 8.
Coming up next.
It takes 30 to 45 seconds for them to install this device or take it off.
Skimming devices installed on ATMs throughout the Susquehanna Valley. News 8 wants to know who's behind it. I'm 8 on your side consumer reporter Brian Roach. Coming up, what we've learned about skimming crimes that goes beyond international borders.
This is coverage you can count on. With Kim Lemon and Ron Martin, the WGAL News 8 Storm Team forecast with Chief Meteorologist Joe Calhoun and sports with Mike Hostetler. Now, WGAL News 8 at 6 continues.
It just keeps happening. News 8 has learned about another crime putting your credit card numbers at risk.
Police in Manheim Township, Lancaster County say this man charged $1,400 to a bank card. The card was still in the owner's possession. Tonight, 8 on your side consumer reporter Brian Roach continues his investigation with a closer look at who's stealing your information.
We've shown you the pictures of suspects, and we've shown you the skimming devices they may be using on bank ATMs in the Susquehanna Valley at an alarming rate.
I can tell from reading reports and speaking with other investigators in the area it's frequent.
Detective Matt Dotz of the Derry Township Police tells me local skimming incidents have increased since late this summer.
It's true organized crime that's international, and then there's also an organized crime here locally.
This is Hector Montalvo Escalin, also known as Panda. A warrant has been issued for his arrest in Lancaster County. He's suspected of using or cashing out several stolen credit cards in the area. But police sources tell News 8 it's suspected that he's already left the country.
They bring people in from overseas. They put them to work here for a short amount of time, and then they send them back overseas. By the time law enforcement figures this out, the people who actually did the skimming or the cash outs are not even here.
It's unknown if Panda actually placed any skimming devices in the Susquehanna Valley, but he could be part of an organized skimmer squad.
One person will be doing the skimming, and then other people within that group will be doing the cash outs or the fraudulent transactions. So they're all related.
These are the cards the bad guys are trying to get their hands on right now, the old-fashioned magnetic stripe cards, but they could be playing a game of beat the clock. That's because with each passing day, more of these, the chip cards, are coming on the market. They could make skimmers obsolete. So in the weeks and months ahead, it's likely we're going to see a more concerted, organized effort for the crooks to get your card.
Now I need as many people as I can trust to help me so that we can maximize these cards that I've got in a short amount of time before the financial industry shuts the cards down.
So all this means you cannot let your guard down when it comes to looking for skimmers. We remind you, closely examine all of the card readers, the slots of any bank ATM or a gas pump before you use it. If anything looks out of place, do not use that machine and then report what you see. And as we've reported to you in the past, some banks are now using software to shut down ATMs that have been tampered with. And I'm hearing from a lot of people, namely these two right here, telling me they're paranoid about looking at the card ATM. I'm not going to tell you I'm sorry. I want you looking for it.
I was at the gas pump today, wiggling it, because you say if it's loose or there's anything hanging down.
Keep your money in your pocket.
Will do. Thank you, Brian.
News 8 at 6. I'll be right back.
Now, the WGAL News 8 Storm Team Forecast with Chief Meteorologist Joe Calhoun.
You can already see it on our Gettysburg sky cam, kind of getting that hazy look around the lights there. Yeah, I think we're going to see some fog and some perhaps low gray clouds again as we go through the overnight. Still clear right now overhead, 65 in Gettysburg at this hour. Pretty warm day once again. Calm winds out there at this hour. Your forecast through the evening hours, we'll call partly cloudy. More clouds will develop. Temperatures in the 60s though, and I don't think we drop much below 60 of that overnight tonight. Maybe a little patchy fog, drizzle in eastern counties. It'll become rather overcast. Those clouds will be around tomorrow morning, then they'll break for some sunshine, a southerly breeze. Going to warm it up to near record levels. The record high tomorrow is 77 degrees. There could be a few thunder showers late tomorrow, about this time tomorrow. Here are the stats for today. 71 after we got rid of those low gray clouds. Yeah, it's 3 in a row. We get 70s tomorrow. It'll only be the 5th time since 1888 that we've hit 4 70s in a row in the month of November. No precipitation in the past 24 hours. That could change a little bit tomorrow. Look at the dew points up near 60, getting a little more spring-like. Temperatures all across the board in the 60s to near 70 degrees. Johnstown up near Du Bois, they set records today. For high temperatures, we could do it tomorrow. We had those low gray clouds. I think they're going to redevelop over us as we go through the evening hours, and some of these showers could get here late tomorrow. Let's time it out for you. Southerly winds, but then we get that cloudiness through the night tonight. But the southerly winds break the clouds up. Here comes a cold front, comes through late tomorrow with a few showers behind it. Yeah, we get a little cooler as we head into the weekend. Looks like it should be for the weekend. So in the meantime, tonight we get the clouds, then tomorrow a little sun, 76 degrees could be the record. Then cooler day on Saturday. It stays cool on Sunday. Into Monday, there's a chance of some more rain on Tuesday, but stays fairly mild for this time of the year. Another chance of some showers perhaps late next week or going into the weekend, and the mild weather will turn a little cooler next weekend. Sports is next. Stay with us.
Now, WGAL News 8 Sports with Pat Principe.
Penn State has won 7 games this season, but they are lacking one of those so-called signature victories, something they'll be chasing at Northwestern come Saturday. The Wildcats are 4-1 at home this season, losing only to unbeaten Iowa. Kickoff Saturday will be 11 a.m. Central Time, and that just adds to the challenges Penn State will be facing.
Going into their environment, it's a different environment than a lot of the Big Ten venues that we go to. That's gonna cause an issue for you. Playing early in the morning, it's an hour earlier than we normally play, so the game is going to come fast. And what you have to be careful of, a lot of times when you're playing on the road in this type of environment and you're playing at that time in the day, if you look, a lot of people have opened up slow. They've sleepwalked through the first quarter.
Penn State has won 3 straight at Northwestern. On the other hand, James Franklin is 0-2 as a head coach in matchups with the Wildcats. The Eagles are less than full strength as they prep for that Sunday night showdown with the Cowboys. Offensive tackle Jason Peters, running back Ryan Matthews, linebacker D'Amico Ryans all sat out practice today. But an Eagle victory Sunday gives them a share of the NFC East lead despite their early season struggles.
I don't think we've played our best football yet, and we're still right in the hunt through 7 weeks. Obviously, it could be a lot worse, but we feel very fortunate. We know we've got a lot of work ahead of us. We're going to have to play better football, play up to the level that we expect ourselves to play. But with that being said, we're right in the thick of things.
Eagles can square their record with a win on Sunday night. You'll see the clash with the Cowboys right here on WGAL, kickoff around 8:30. Football Friday, Week 10. We've got some tantalizing regular season finale matchups. Central Dauphin East, Red Lion, Dallastown among the 12 ball games on tap Friday night right after News 8's First 11 at 11. And hockey players can fire the puck pretty hard, but none more so than this laser by the Penguins' Phil Kessel that rocketed off the crossbar, watch it, all the way back to the Penguins' bench.
I'm glad you slowed
That's
it
a
down. It
rocket.
was so fast at first I didn't see it.
Those guys can fire.
Thanks, Prince.
That's News 8 at 6. Thanks for watching. NBC Nightly News is next.
Good evening.